And our head office is still in the same village where Gabriel Pasquier started his bakery with his wife. And he had 12 children, so he was very busy back in the day, and 5 of his sons decided they wanted to bring his brioche to the market and to the masses, and he wanted everyone else to try his delicious brioche. So they came up with an idea to sell it into supermarkets. And in 1974, they created Brioche Pasquier as a company. It's still family run today, as I said, and if we look at this, these are the 5 brothers here, and this is Pascal Pasquier. He's our current CEO. He's the he's the youngest out of the 5 brothers, and you really get a sense of the family sentiment here, because even the managing director in the UK, the one that was poking his head over, he is the grandson of the original baker, Gabriel. So yes, it's still a very close, tight-knit family business, which is great. I mean, one of the reasons why I love working here as well. So we have, we're most famous for brioche, but we also have different products such as frozen patisserie, biscuit, which is like a twice baked bread, more sort of continental food. We have our international division, and we also have our agri division, which it's really small, but I'd like to talk about it because it's really important about our DNA and how we still run today. But Gabriel used to send his brioche to farmers, local farmers, and they used to use his leftovers for cattle food and things like that. So we still have a division where we produce food for like cattle feed and things like that. And more specifically for the UK, so we arrived in the UK in 2001 and then decided that Milton Keynes was the place for us based on the fact that we wanted to be close to our consumers, our suppliers, and we also, because of the transport links and things like that outside of London and Birmingham, it was great to recruit local people as well. So it was really important for us to set up in Milton Keynes. And we started producing here in our factory where I'm sitting now in 2015. So if you see some brioche rolls in the supermarkets, then it's likely coming from Milton Keynes and Wimbush. And then so today, as I mentioned, it is a family-run business. The group turnover is around 700 million euros, and there's over 3,500 employees across 17 production sites. Most of them, 17 are in France. We have this one. 14 are in France, and we have this one here, and we have some outside of Europe, such as the USA. And we also have different divisions as far as South Korea, and operate globally. So yeah, it's quite a big group. Moving on to more about us and our DNA. So even though we are massive, we do produce on an industrial scale, we still respect the know-how of a baker. We still have the know-how of a traditional baker. And we really respect the process of how we bake, whether it's biscuit or brioche. I'll focus more on the brioche because that's what we produce here. But the time we take to bake a brioche roll, we don't actually gain a lot of time from having an industrial scale, because we want to still respect that process. And a lot of factories might buy a full production line to sort of churn as much product out as possible, but we feel that disrespects the product, and we want a quality product that consumers can enjoy all the time. So yes, we have engineers who created some of our parts of our lines as well, so we don't buy a full production line to make our brioche. So it really is specific to us. And we also have, I don't want to say it's a secret ingredient because it's not very secret because we like to talk about it, but a special ingredient that we use, which we call levain. So if any of you bake, then you probably know the process of fermentation, but it's like a sourdough that ferments and gives it its unique taste, and also helps with our shelf life. So we're able to stay fresher for longer. And what's really unique about this levain is that Gabriel Pasquier, the original baker that I spoke about before, he used to use this levain in his brioche and his dough, and basically would take a bit and use it every day. And so we still continue to use it. It might be a tiny bit of his original levain, but we still use it every day for our production, and if we don't have any of that made, then we can't produce our brand. So it's very, very important. So yeah, so talking more about the company and our rural origins. So in France, all the factories are basically on the doorstep of a farm. We're very close, and there's just greenery made around it. So Milton Keynes is slightly different on that sense, but we want to stay really close to sort of the farmers and make sure our suppliers are close by. For example, one of our egg suppliers, well, our only egg supplier, sorry, we've worked with them for over 20 years in France, and it's just building that relationship and that partnership that we want to keep long term. And also in the UK is the same. So even though we are a French brand and we're a French company who's come to the UK, part of our company strategy is to really ground our roots wherever we are operating. So we want to invest locally into the environment, into the economy, sorry, and into different partnerships and things like that. So well, some of you might be aware, because if we're sampling at the Dons, we talked about the Dons a little bit earlier, so you see us sampling brioche at matches, but we also support MK Don sets, and you can see here that we've got our pitch study centre, and this is Pasquier here, and Olivier, our managing director at the UK, who's opening that study centre. And we work with different charities such as McIntyre, Will and Hospice, Age UK, Harry's Rainbow, and really part of the community for us is really important to be a part of. And we also try to recruit from local colleges and universities and things like that. So it really is part of the company's DNA. And I want to say as well around the production that we have here in the UK, that's also well, our eggs, sugar, butter all come from the UK, and particularly our flour is from Northamptonshire, so literally less than 30 miles down the road. So even though we're more sort of city based here, it's still trying to keep that the history of being near the farm and things like that. That's really important to us. So going forward, a lot of work that I'm working on at the moment is how we can communicate about different commitments we're working on. So even though our products are made without any artificial colours or flavourings and preservatives, we are still trying to come up with cleaner recipes. So the idea is, when the five brothers first started Brioche Pasquier, they only used the simple flour, eggs, butter, sugar, water, a bit of salt, and that was it. That was how they made their brioche. But as the trends have sort of changed throughout the years, we've had to add certain things. So the idea is for us to remove all those and go really back to how a brioche should be made. And the idea is the ingredient list on the back of your pack will be what you can find in your cupboard and make yourself. So that's really important for us to work on, but we don't want to compromise on taste either. And also, like I said, we're a big user of eggs and flour, so it's how we can give back to farmers. That's really important for us. And also our chocolate is all Rainforest Alliance certified, so paying a fee for the chocolate to make sure that it's sustainable and things like that. And a big topic at the moment, as we all know, and it's really important project that we're working on, is reducing the amount of plastic our packaging has, and that's across the business in all different, not just brioche, but also patisserie and biscuit. But what's important is that we still protect our product, and we don't want an opposite thing to happen where we have more food waste rather than well, if we have less packaging, it might mean more food waste, and we don't want to start another problem. So we're working really hard on how we can reduce our plastic, and we're currently doing a trial of our brioche in Tesco's in a 4-pack in a cardboard box. So if you shop at a Tesco Express and fancy having a look to see what you think of the packaging, I'd love to hear back what you thought as well, because there's a little survey on there to do if you do buy it. And with that, we've already reduced 240 tonnes of plastic. So really important things to be working for a sustainable future. So we are the #1 brand in the UK market within the viennoiserie category, or the brioche category. You can see here that we categorise it as viennoiserie. It's basically brioche, croissant, pain chocolat and filled brioche. that we have 10% branded market share. You can see here that predominantly the market is own label, so mainly our competitor is own label. However, we do produce some own label as well. And you can see that we produce 60% of all Brioche rolls on the market, so from our factory here in Milton Keynes. So it's really, well, it's massive really in terms of what you see. So, and the total market value, the category value, is worth 260 million, so a big category. 3.4 million households buy our brand, which is great, but still big opportunity. So I can't remember from the top of my head, but I think there's a few million households to reach. So still work for me as a marketing manager to do, and my team. And on a, well, roughly we sell around 64 million packs per year. So our range, now that you've seen the products on the sides, you might recognise it a bit more, and if you're in the bakery aisle, you'll probably notice the blue and yellow diamonds. It's very eye-catching. So yeah, you can see our core range is the brioche rolls, croissants, pain au chocolat and sliced loaf, which we target more to sort of families. And then we have our pitch range, which is an individually wrapped brioche, which is great for kids because it's great for sort of lunch boxes and after school snacks and things like that, to grab and go. And my main focus is around retail because it's 95% of our business. So we sell patisserie in food service, but I thought it'd be nice to include the fact that we do macarons in Ocado as well. So just to show that we do different products there. And as you can see, we're in all major retailers apart from Waitrose. So yeah, so well, hopefully you've seen us around in the aisle. So yeah, so obviously we can't really not talk about COVID and how it's affected us as a business. Like many businesses, it has seen our work change drastically. Fortunately, we were in a position where we produced for supermarkets, and so we well, we basically had to ramp up production capacity to try and produce as much product as we could, because our client was demanding so much, obviously because of the whole panic buying that we saw when lockdown first started. But we also had to remain safe and make sure that our employees were safe, and remain, well, keep social distancing and things like that. So the company put a lot of things into place really early on, which was great. And I think it sort of helped with the fact, because we had the office in Korea, they saw an early sign of what was happening. So we had like crisis meetings from the beginning in February talking about it. So we were able to contingency plan. The offices, we sort of split shifts. Some of us, well, we were doing like 5 AM till 1 PM and then 1 PM till 9 PM, which was very different. I think because I knew no one else was out and about in the evenings, I was quite happy to be working in the evenings. But yeah, it was a bit different and obviously a challenge for everyone. And then we were able to work from home for the office who were able to work from home. But yeah, it was crazy times. But we did see an increase in sales on the retail side because of all this panic buying. But unfortunately, because of our food service side, where we sell patisserie and things like that, because it's more into restaurants, hotels and things like that, we know it came to a complete stop. So the sort of loss from that counterbalanced the growth that we saw. So yeah, it was definitely a challenging time. But I just wanted to show a bit more of a positive side of COVID that we did, because I said that part of our brand and the company is to really be part of the local economy, and so we really want to do something to help, not on just like a company level, but I think a lot of us on a personal level, or what can we do to help the local community. So we decided to get as many products as we could and ship them, well, we delivered them around to MK. So we went to all the care homes, we went to Milton Keynes A&E. You can see here, well, different ones really. So you've got Willing Hospice, where we delivered some products every week, and then we've got Dean from MK Donset doing some challenges and things like that. And because we're a partner with them, we got tagged in a lot. And we also helped with their food larder that they did, so their food bank, and Age UK and things like that. So yeah, we thought we'd just try to be positive and help where we could, even if it was just a little bit. So yeah. So marketing plans. So yeah, marketing in the recession. To be honest, I was like, I guess are we marketing the recession? But yeah, of course we are, because we've seen ourselves in a recession. But I guess because you're so into your work day to day, you sort of forget that you are doing it. But we are really trying to be at the forefront of our customers' mind. And I think whether you're in a recession or not, you need to still try to be at the forefront of their mind, because if you're not, then competitors will only do it, or they start purchasing something else. So I just wanted to go through little things. And well, the thing with marketing is that usually, not in all companies, I'm not saying every company, but the marketing budget tends to be the first one to get cut. So it means that as marketers, we have to become more creative, and we have to become more efficient and really use that budget where we think it is most important. And I think if you find yourself in that situation where you don't have the marketing spend, is to really focus on where your customer sees your brand and like your messages, and how you can communicate to them. So if they're on social media, then go there to target and use your budget more there. Or if they read magazines and it's more on the trade side, then focus budget more there. And I think looking at our size, you'd think that we did have quite a big budget, but it's not as big as what we see within the food industry. So we have to be really efficient with our marketing spend and really try to optimize that as much as we can. And I thought it really just goes back to the simple marketing mix, and I've included the 4 Ps here, which it goes right up to the 7 Ps. But as long as you know your target market and your consumer, who you're targeting, or your customer, then all you need is a good product or service, the right price, a competitive price, selling in the right place, and also promoting it. So for us, obviously we're selling into supermarkets, we're trying to advertise to people and try to get new people into the category. And also we do a lot of price promos in store as well, to try to attract new customers and shoppers. I also thought as well around marketing in a recession, and marketing in generally, but I know it is the marketing department to really drive forward the messages and what we're doing with the strategy and things like that. But it really is important that everyone in the company is marketing for the company or the brand, because you could be in any department, whether you're in sales or whether you're in HR, everyone there is a brand ambassador, and as long as they believe what you're doing in terms of the company messages and the company objectives and their values, then they're going to go off and tell their friends, their family, and hopefully that will lead to more people purchasing your product or service or whatever it might be. So I think that's really important as well, to ensure that what you're saying is what you're actually doing as well, in terms of the company, but also the brand. So even though we are going into a crazy year, we are doing our biggest campaign to date. We thought it would be it's a movie franchise that we're part of. Maybe some people have seen it on stores or in stores, but yeah, we thought it was too big of an opportunity to miss, so we wanted to still utilize the budget and go ahead and do it. And a movie license is using characters or something from a particular movie. But I'll keep the suspense there a little bit, I won't go into it just yet. But why we're doing that is to attract new shoppers to the viennoiserie or the brioche category, increase the frequency of purchase, so hopefully people buy more often, repeat purchase, and also having a really trusted brand or movie that you're working with brings more trust to the shoppers. And if you associate a brand like ours with a movie, hopefully that brings more trust to them and makes them more inclined to buy. It builds brand awareness, and hopefully will bring some incremental sales as well, and higher sales volume, and drive some brand loyalty. So this is why we've decided to go ahead and do it this year. The movie was meant to come out in July this year, but unfortunately because of everything going on, they postponed the movie. So we'll have to wait till next year. So we are doing a soft launch this year, but it still is big for us. So without further ado, I'll go into who we're partnered with. So it's a franchise with 90% brand awareness in the UK, and hopefully all of you know it, but it is Minions. So really excited about working with Universal and on the Minions, because I mean, look at the packaging, they are perfect for our pack, not only because they're blue and yellow, but also because just their target audience, they reach not only children, but every age of the family, and it's just such a fun family thing. And we even have consumers writing to us like with grandchildren and things like that, so excited about the brioche themselves, the minions themselves, sorry. So it really is great to see that it's all part of the well, exciting for all the family. So we've started on the 24th of August, so it's just live over 2 weeks, and what we're doing is running a promotion to win minions goodies. We have thousands of prizes to be won, and as you can see, we've got, with every pitch pack we have a free gift anyway. So part of it is to have a free impact gift, and there's 10 characters to collect from the movie franchise. And what happens is well, on the back of these cards, or there's a little peel sticker on our more core range, there's a unique code, and all you have to do is enter the code on our promotion microsite, and then they find out instantly if they have won or not. And we find that competitions really work with our customers and our consumers. So there's a lot of high engagement with our consumers when we have competitions, whether it's on pack or on social media and things like that. So it's already working really well. So we're really, really happy with that. And just some of the prizes that we can see here. So we've got Lego sets, and basically it creates a massive minion, and then inside you've got Gru's lair, if any of you are familiar with the Minions or Despicable Me. And then we've got some like fun little creative sets and colouring sets and things like that. So just, well, there's a lot of prizes to be won, and but they're cute little things really for this year. Next year will be much bigger and better. So and how we activating this campaign, so it's an omni-channel strategy this year. We're really trying to do an integrated marketing campaign to make sure we're reaching all touch points for the shopper to see it. So yeah, so you can see from the side here that we're activating it online. So we're doing lots of digital ad banners. We're also doing sort of banners on Tesco and Sainsbury's online as well. So you might see an ad banner on there when you're doing your shopping, if anyone shops in Tesco's and Sainsbury's. We're also doing some in-store sampling. So we did think that maybe this wouldn't go ahead because of COVID, but because it's this time of year, we've managed to do some in-store in Tesco. So we did some in the bank holiday just gone, and we're doing some in October as well. And we think this is really great because looking at the packaging, and if people haven't already bought Brioche or our brand or product, they might not necessarily know what to do with the product. So we find having in-store sampling and getting the product in front of the consumer and trying it there and then really helps them understand and hopefully leads to purchase. So that's why we've done that this year. We're also doing it on on-pack promotion, which I just showed you, and price promo as well. And we're doing a massive outdoor marketing campaign. So we'll have lots of outdoor media going around Tesco, Sainsbury's, Asda stores. And I think there's some in Tesco Wolverton and Tesco Bletchley. So if you have a little look there, you might see a little Minions advert from us. And yeah, so just keeping online and also your traditional offline marketing, just to make sure all tools are used really. And yeah, so I thought it would just be nice to sort of show some of the creative that we've done this year to activate it. So I didn't put any sort of moving images or videos on there because I didn't know if it would go really slow, so I just put the static ones on there. But most of the outdoor media and things like that are animated. So yeah, so you can see really keeping it consistent in terms of the win call to action, and the key messages, and then obviously the use of minions and the pack shots so people understand which packs they have to buy when in store. And looking at sort of early sales readings, we've seen, well, this is in 2 weeks as well, so we do have some promotions, so it's a bit harder to analyse, but we have seen an increase of 15% in sales across all retailers, which is amazing. We've also had over 18,000 entries to the competition, which again we're really happy with because that's much better than past campaigns have performed, and we've nearly sold 1 million packs already. So Yes, it's very exciting. It was lots of work, but it was good to keep busy during COVID and things like that. And I was just really happy that we were able to launch the campaign, because it's just such a perfect fit for the brand and the communication that we have around our products and our target audience. So we're really, really happy with that. So yeah, so that concludes my my presentation. Thank you very much for listening. I have popped my email address there if anyone wants to contact or anything, then feel free. I'll be happy to have a chat. I feel like I whizzed through that a bit, but I guess because we're quite tight on time. But yeah, if you have any questions, then I'll be happy to answer.
Thanks, Mel. Really appreciate that. I think everyone will join me in thanking you for the insight into Brioche Pasquier. If they hadn't heard of you particularly, you are, you know, I know myself, you're a hidden giant in Milton Keynes in terms of the business, which is lovely, and great respect to Milton Keynes for attracting yourselves when you had the decision to bring the new production line there. I think take homes that everyone can get from that, certainly partnership and engagement, you know, on many levels. Not all of us can have Kevin and Stuart on our side, so we'll you have to know Minions if you get that. I think competition, you know, using that to engage, go big, don't hide away. You know, if you can, don't shy away from your marketing budgets, and live your brand throughout your company. I think that's a really nice message there. So we've had a couple of questions already in the chat, which was one was at the beginning, Mel, MPD.
Yes, oh sorry. Yeah, so it's new product development. So yeah, so any sort of new products that we want to bring to market, different flavors. So yeah, so just we've got one person in the team that we're looking after, but yeah, we've got lots of exciting things in the pipeline. A lot of them have been cancelled because of COVID, and a lot of our sort of new product development is done in France because they're more experienced in France in terms of like the pitch products and things like that. But yes, exciting things to come, I can say.
And then you mentioned that the majority of the sector is own brand. We've had a question from Serena who says, do you make the rolls for other companies, i.e., and there might be a hint as to which company she wants you to say, Sainsbury's, branded brioche rolls. So if you can tell us the secrets, then it'd be great to hear if that is the case.
We do produce for some of the retailers. It's not the same recipe, just so you know. And no, we don't produce for Sainsbury's. They're not one of them.
Other ones help lots and little. So yeah, I'm sure. Thank you, Mel. If there's no other questions there from the guys, I'm now going to introduce.
There is one, I think, from Denise. Was it about the Tesco Express or Tesco stores there? Sorry.
I did miss that.
Was that for the pitch cardboard trial? Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. So it's just a Tesco Express for now, because yeah, it's just on the 4-pack at the moment because we have a.
As any Tesco Express, is it?
Should be in all of them, yes. So.
Oh, super. Okay.
Yes, if you do, please take photos and like send them, because yeah, we have a look.
I will do.
So yeah.
And we have had one on the health messages. Obviously, Boris spoke that COVID isn't just about those with chest issues and other conditions. It's obesity, and I'll be joining him in trying to lose some weight at some point, and I look forward to seeing the comparative results. So you know, you mentioned you're trying to bring everything back to you know, back to square one in terms of your roots and the ingredients in terms of the health side and obesity. Is there any key messaging around that you as a company do?
So well, the main things we do at the moment is to sort of counterbalance with all the activity we do with sports and trying to you know, engage with children and try to encourage them to take part in a healthy, active lifestyle. But we know as a company and as a brand, it's not enough, especially with everything going on, like you say, with Boris and his obesity plans. So we have a bit of pressure to try and come up with a better product, and it is very much high up in our agenda. The only problem we face is that brioche is a product that's made with sugar. It can't be called a brioche without sugar. It's made with lots of flour, and that is where most of our calories are, in the flour, believe it or not. And it's like mainly all the products, so it's really difficult. So we do really want to come up with something that is better, but we have to remember that brioche is a treat to have from time to time, or every day. No, but yeah, yes, no, it is very high up on the agenda, and it's really important to us, so we are working on that. And again, it was a project that we were working on before COVID started, so it has been slightly delayed, but we will, yes, it's definitely something we're working on. So
okay, final one, quick one, because we get to Toby, so we can finish probably just after 7 minutes, right? No worries. Which was the artwork, the creative that you showed, is that produced in-house, or do you work with an agency?
So the
Toby, by the way.
yeah. So everything that we do for artwork is in-house. For the Minions, we've used an agency. So all the creative for the Minion stuff, that was all an agency that we work with. But yeah, the rest of it's all in-house.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Mel.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for the questions. It's been great.
No worries. Rena, thank you. Have a see you at the next one. Thank you. Okay, brilliant. Mel, you're off the hook. Thank you. You can rest now and have a drink. So I'd like to introduce you all now to Toby Bryan. He's a senior account manager at Cygnus, which is a local design agency, but works with some real national brands on some very exciting things. So I'll now hand over to Toby to tell his story about Cygnus, about how they've worked through this year and what their plans are going into 2021. Toby, if you'd like to unmute yourself, I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, brilliant. So can everyone hear me? Perfect. Mel, that was great. Really interesting. Thank you. You've sort of inadvertently put me to shame on 2 counts. So I don't have a presentation today. I thought it would be more conversational, and also your surroundings are much more professional than mine. It might look like I have sort of 30+ cats in the house, but it's just 2 really attention-seeking cats that try and distract me. So I'll try my best to stay focused. What I will say is this is the first time I've worn a shirt since Q1, so if that doesn't show intent, I don't know what does. So yeah, my name's Toby Bryan. I'm a senior account manager at Cygnus. What I've been asked to do today is to talk through our experience across the last few months, and how we've had to adapt as an agency, and also what sort of changes we've seen our client partners take, which Mel's covered actually, and some of the points I go on to make she's proved already, so thank you very much for that. So yeah, we're Cygnus, so we're a full service digital and creative agency of around 40 people, on the most part remotely now, such is life. And historically our sort of new business acquisition and our focus has been on working with local companies or multinationals based in Milton Keynes, as opposed to taking a sort of sector specific approach, which some agencies do take. The geographic focus has actually meant, though, across the last 6 months, it's kept us really busy, because where we've lost business in some places, we've gained in others. And our working format at Cygnus is agile. It's not really based around transactional formats. So we sort of aim to be extensions of our client partners teams. And we don't approach things in a one size fits all, as you can get with sort of larger multinational agencies. We're very much a case of take things as they come. You know, everyone's needs are slightly different. So at Cygnus, our internal values as an agency are really people centric. So the vast majority of what we do inherently as an agency is people facing, and based on a brand or businessing being able to trust us. So it's important that we have a team that wants to be there and cares how we're represented, and, you know, most importantly, really in the work that as a team we create. So before the pandemic hit, obviously working in the office with Cygnus was really fun. It never really felt like work, which is great. I think everyone sort of craves that sort of environment the atmosphere we had allowed for people to express themselves in the way which they wanted to, which obviously vastly differs across the business. We have your typical stereotypes in terms of like digital developers across the room, from the against the grainers and people that wanted just to get their head down and listen to music and get done what they needed to get done, or those that needed the conversation or to bounce off people to get the most out of their day. Thinking back, probably the biggest drama we faced pre-corona was if the coffee machine had been cleaned the night before, and if it hadn't, my word, it would be absolute turmoil. But as news of the virus became more prevalent, and it became clear quite quickly actually that all of us individually were going to be directly affected in some way or another, Cygnus as a business decided to give everyone in the room the option to work from home if they felt more comfortable to do so. This was actually sort of 2 or 3 days before Boris instructed people that if they could work from home, they should. So the decision was made, and you can imagine what it was like. You've got 40 people running around the business trying to sort of scoot together what they can and what they would need to work from home. The stationery cupboard's empty. There's people walking out the building with beanbags over their shoulders. But we got there, and everyone was set up, and the business made the decision that for at least a small amount of time afterwards, we would have like a core team that would work in the office just to see if there was any teething issues, basically. So we hadn't just sort of jumped ship and run home. So I was actually one of the core members that stayed in the office. So sort of leaving on a Friday with 40 plus people in the office and coming back and just being 5 or 6 was quite eerie. There was pizza, which was great. So the strange with pizza always works for me. And during that week, the vast majority of our clients began to work remotely too, obviously following government advice. And it became clear quite quickly that the working from home thing was working really well for some, but there were teething issues for others. And we're lucky at Cygnus. We work with a lot of, well, actually, this is being recorded. My MD is probably going to see it, so I'll start again. At Cygnus, meticulous contingency planning meant that all of our systems were cloud-based. So what it meant was the tools were there for us to be able to do our job from home just as efficiently as we could in the office. It just meant less coffee and being harder to work out what sort of dramas the client services team had found themselves in over the weekend, but I suppose there are calls for that. So with that in mind, and the fact that we'd had no teething issues in the first week or so, the instruction was made to, thank you, Jane, was made to send everyone home, basically, which was great. I mean, personally for me, I have 2 9-month-old twins and a 3-year-old, and it was like working in a zoo for a little bit. Obviously a nice zoo, they're in bed, they can't defend themselves, so I'll have a go at them whilst I can. But the truth is, as you all know, everyone was learning how to cope with it at the same time. Because at Cygnus we're in touch with so many different businesses on a daily basis, we were lucky in that we were able to learn quite quickly what made things easier and then how to fix those elements that did become harder. And I think not just us as a business, but probably everyone on this call, we became like avid over communicators. I think it was like this fear of missing out. We needed to talk to everyone all the time. So it was like back-to-back calls all day, every day. And what we did see was that the micromanager's nightmare had dawned. You could no longer chase your work around the building, and it became imperative that you trusted the people you work with. And this is where the culture at Cygnus had given us a really good platform, because we're not micromanagers, and everyone has an understood value in the business. It's just a question of orchestrating that process and ensuring that you're talking to the right people at the right time, because it's not as easy as just sort of hollering or something more professional across the room to get the attention of the person you need to talk to. So the weeks that followed after us all working from home saw some of our clients' work dry up completely. And I'm sure, as most of you are well versed, and Mel, you mentioned it already, marketing budget tends to be the first thing that's cut. And unfortunately, obviously, that's always going to filter down to a design creative agency. But as I mentioned earlier, we were quite well placed because 3 of our biggest clients function in completely different sectors. So it balanced out quite well. So the three I'm going to sort of touch on really briefly are Papa John's. I keep talking about pizza. I think it's because I'm hungry. It's your fault now. And Seat, the Spanish car manufacturer based in Blakelands in Milton Keynes, and the Open University. So at Cygnus, we have a 9-strong team dedicated just solely to supporting Seat dealers up and down the UK and their marketing. And obviously, one of the many daily updates we had, Boris or his advisors made the decision that meant that all dealers had to close pretty much overnight, which resulted in a long line of chains of pretty serious decisions to be made, basically. So Volkswagen Group placed the vast majority of their staff on furlough, and it left Cygnus with some sort of decisions to make in terms of how we could service that account, because there was still work, but nowhere near as much as there was when we had the 9-strong team. So what we then saw with Papa John's, the government obviously allowed takeaway businesses to stay open, pending that they could abide to this 2-meter distancing and obviously the other health and safety advice during the production process of the pizza. And one of the big winners here was Papa John's. So it sounds great on paper, but what they did see was there were some supply chain issues. So demand was unprecedented. Basically, everyone wanted takeaway pizza. And it gave them some quite difficult decisions to make internally, because if they're struggling to keep up with the current demand, do they really want to be attracting new custom, which is obviously a wonderful position to be in, but it gives them quite a serious conversation to have. But what it did mean, and it looks like this is what's happened with UML, is that it gave them the opportunity to focus on big upcoming campaigns. So we work with Papa John's on their Christmas campaigns. We're currently partnering, like you are with Universal, on a Call of Duty campaign with them, and then they're sponsoring next year's Paralympic Games, which obviously has been moved 12 months because of the pandemic. So what it has afforded us is some breathing space on quite mammoth briefs that you wouldn't usually have the luxury of having. And what it did mean was that they could adjust their budgets accordingly, basically, and push more revenue into some of their sort of annual pillar campaigns. So then, just lastly, to touch on Open University, historically, we've supported them with some of their collateral marketing material, basically, and I would say they were maybe one of our part-time clients that we wouldn't be doing stuff for every day, but we would always have something on with them. And when the government's furlough scheme had kicked in, it meant that there were sort of hundreds of thousands of people sat at home, and not all of them, but much more of them than usual, had the time to learn. And what it did was it sort of forced the OU down a digital first approach, basically, because most of the people they wanted to talk to were online. And what we have seen is traditional forms of marketing no longer sort of have the impact that they had 12 months ago. This is, I'm talking in the depths of the pandemic, if you like. It sounds like a film name. But TV ad spend, it dropped nearly 25% across the world's 4 biggest markets, which is insane. And search, out of home, and events, digital display advertising saw huge losses too. And the only area that grew exponentially was digital marketing. So what we know is that brands advertise to raise awareness, increase sales, build loyalty, and they use media that's appropriate to each objective. And in general, sort of SME businesses are more dependent on channels that drive customer engagement, whereas global brands, on the other hand, run omni-channel campaigns as well. That include things like value-based marketing that builds association with consumer identities. But what the pandemic has done has caused advertisers of all sizes. So I'm talking about Milton Keynes, the smaller companies in Milton Keynes, and your global brands. Everyone has had to rethink the types of campaigns they're running. And for many, what it has meant is focusing the spending on customer acquisition now being their priority, which Mel, you highlighted so well for me earlier, so thank you very much for doing that. As a business, Cygnus, we made the quick decision to relocate our office, basically, and move to what we have coined as a hub format. So what it does mean is that we've still got the facilities to get together for project work or pitch work, and also somewhere that we can sort of sit and meet our clients, which weirdly now has become a luxury, which 12 months ago, if someone had said that to me, I'd have laughed them out the room. What we had been doing in the 12 months leading up was actually trying to move office anyway, to move to a more inspirational space. But what the pandemic has done is sort of given us the opportunity to fine tune that brief now and try and find something new if commercial property picks up at some stage. So as the pandemic wore on and businesses were starting to bring staff back in, sort of released from furlough, if you like, but I probably shouldn't say it like that, the budget crunch really came. So as an agency, we were being challenged to find better and more efficient ways of spending the budget that the brands were left with. And unfortunately, it wasn't a case that we could work out with client A what works brilliantly and then run round the room, talk to client B, C, D, and E and say, we've cracked it. What it did mean was that we had to listen to each of our brands and client partners, and because they all had slightly different issues, you know, whilst customer acquisition and then I suppose by default brand awareness tended to be the end goal of most of the clients we were working with, it was very much a case that whilst all of our client issues were solvable, everyone wanted to be first. So no one was interested in being fast follow. So we were just talking about sort of the quickest and most effective market routes and give them the sort of best running start we could. So the brands we do work with, and I suppose this is where part of our advice to any potential clients goes, is that we've seen brands upcycle existing material. You've probably seen it on TV. You're thinking, I've seen that TV advert 5 years ago. Budweiser did it. It's actually worked really well. They take more graphical routes because obviously filming or getting multiple people on site has been really hard. So the biggest shift we've seen is in digital asset production. So I'm talking about videos, GIFs, GDNs, like Mel mentioned, and also like SEO improvement. So just traffic to websites, and that's taken a huge steep upward trajectory. And again, I want to say lucky, but I'm probably going to be told tomorrow that's the wrong word to use. But we were well placed because we had the staff to be able to fulfill those briefs. So Martin, if you're listening, I apologise profusely. But what I see is that the vast majority of our clients, they're craving digital engagement basically, because digital marketing has been gaining by far the most traction. And again, in my opinion, but by a long shot, if budgeted, planned, I suppose, executed correctly, it can be by far the most cost-effective type of marketing too. Because, in essence, we're communicating digitally more than ever. I'm on a call with 14 people I've not met before digitally. You're in my living room, basically. I've already talked about my cats, which I shouldn't have done. But it's just, I suppose, taking advantage of the situation, and it's in our experience. And again, Mel, you teed me up perfectly for this. It's the braver the brand, I suppose, in terms of self-perception and routes to market, the more successful the marketing is in the current climate. So from my perspective, it's been really interesting to watch how not only our clients, but other brands have reacted and leveraged the opportunity as a PR piece. So I'm a cynic. I think you can look through things and think, is it good marketing or is it good PR? But I'm British, I suppose. It's just in our blood to do stuff like that. But what I am really excited about is how we're going to see some pretty brilliant adverts, I'm sure, coming out too soon as brands try to get back to the forefront of our thinking. And we've seen things, I don't know if anyone's seen the KFC advert that's come out in the last couple of weeks where they've redacted finger licking. So it just says it's good now on the side of the buckets, but they've sort of owned the brand change they've had to make. And I'm not saying it's going to make you eat chicken, but it does mean you're talking about the brand. And really that's what they're after at the minute. So I think that's about all my time used up. But obviously, if you've got any questions, please ask. If not, I'll leave my email address in the chat. I should have done it on slides. So thanks very much, Mel, for doing that. But thanks Matt for the opportunity to talk today. It's been really fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Toby. That's really great. I think really interesting in terms of your journey. I think you've summed up how anyone working in an office did feel at the time, and especially with I wish my office had beanbags. I miss being in I just have wobbly chairs.
I was trying to play it cool. I was one of the ones walking out with a beanbag, but
That's it. And
if you can take that out of the recording, that would be great too.
Yeah. So, I mean, points we've taken from yourself, I think, be agile, both in your working style, but also in your format, as you said, how to go digital, then in person, then back to digital, and work with there, be people-centric. So, and that actually prompted a lovely conversation on working from home and trust, and the micromanagement point you made within the group. So I think that's certainly a topic for future business clubs we can bring in. Have fun, very important in any business. Learn from your community, not just your peers, but your customers as well. Adapt to what they're doing, and can you bring that into your business? Focus spend where the audience has moved, and you know, be perceptive to the quick route to markets to get those quick wins. So thank you so much, Toby. I think that's it. Has anyone got any questions? I haven't seen any shoot past to me.
If anyone's wondering if I was annoyed that we didn't get to work on the minion stuff, I am. But I'll leave that there.
Can you put me up? Can I?
Thank you, Julie.
I had something to ask both actually. So obviously big campaigns, Mel, for you have been your focus. Does that mean that the budget spend has gone into that rather than, you know, the smaller ad campaigns that you might have done? Is that instead of or as well as? And the same with you, Toby?
Well, I forgot to mention actually during my presentation, but this year we had planned to do a lot of events and sampling events and campaigns that way. So even though we were always doing the minions, we did have more budget after everything got cancelled to allocate towards activating it more. So we were able to go a little bit bigger with the minions this year than we probably thought we could. So yeah, so fortunately we were able to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly, and I echo the sentiment, exactly that. So what we've seen is with reduced budgets, we've just seen people, clients funnel money differently, I guess. So I've seen clients like the Wine Society, if anyone's familiar, is historically they're a hugely print-based company, so they send out brochure after brochure after brochure, but they've really challenged themselves during this period to become a digital first brand, basically, and we're trying to help them move into that. So it's a learn on route one, I think, because like I said early on, I think we're all learning what works. If anyone can nail it first time, I'd be massively impressed. But yeah, it's definitely been fun learning how best to spend the pound, if you like.
Are you finding that your clients are also, because they're digitally marketing themselves, that they are getting more return on their investment, and it's far more measurable for them? They can actually measure what's happening out there by going digital?
I mean, yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, digital marketing inherently is the most trackable and certainly the most reportable if your data's good. What we are seeing, and it's literally the one paragraph I didn't cover, you've stitched me up, was that I feel like I'm being targeted. It was basically that, exactly that, really. You're getting more for your pound if you're marketing digitally at the moment. It's slightly different with what Mel's talking about, because we're talking about huge campaigns. Minions, like Mel touched upon, has got like a 90% cut through. Everyone knows about it, whether they like it or don't like it. It's relatable. So those campaigns are slightly different because it is an awareness piece, and obviously very successful based on what Mel was telling us with the figures. But if we're talking new customer acquisition, I think at the minute you can't really beat digital.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's the thing as well, because we talked about budgets being cut and things like that, but when you've got digital where you do see the return on investment and things like that, it's good arguments if you have to go to the finance team to sort of justify as well the spending. So it's good in that sense as well, I find.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks, both. Any last questions, and then we'll bring this to a close. Thanks for spending the extra 15 with us. I think it's definitely, if you would agree, worthwhile and been valuable to learning about these two stories and the two ways in which they're aligned, but also, you know, different in the way they've had to handle the challenge. So I'll hand back to Debbie and Andrew if there's no more questions at this point.
Just lastly, thank you so much to Mel and Toby for coming, giving your time. This has been recorded, so you are forever going to be digital, Toby.
Oh no.
He's fine. And we'll put this up on the website and get it out on LinkedIn. Spread the word about the business club and spread the words about the Bedford business clubs, because, you know, this is something we're trying to get across Bedfordshire as well. So thank you all very much. I don't know if my husband has anything to add.
No, just thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you again next time.